Well, good afternoon, Rosemary Brown. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Andras Horkai.
Good
Hello.
afternoon.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to all of you. This is Slow Guide Wine Seminar number 52. Yes, and well, this is the show of Rose and Andras, and I'm going on the holidays. So, Rose, the voice, the floor is yours, as they say.
Thank you. So welcome to the top 12 Villagnyi Franc selection tasting, which will focus on Cabernet Franc, the flagship grape variety of Villagnyi, Hungary's warmest and most southerly region, and its premier red wine region. My name is Rosemary Brown. I'm a Master of Wine based in the UK. I'm an independent journalist and I'm independent of the region. And I'm coming from this from an international perspective. I taste a lot of Cabernet Franc from around the world, and I love the grape variety. I love its charming freshness and its sweet tannins, but I feel that it has been a little bit forgotten, and it's the forgotten cousin of the Cabernet family. And because it's been used as a blender and a filler and a freshener and a complementary grape, and it rarely appears alone. But now we're seeing more varietal wines. And one region I've been watching closely and I've been very impressed with is Villagnyi. They've really reinvented themselves over the last few years, and they're producing really good quality wines, a very dynamic region with all the wine producers. Diversity of styles, from Beaujolais style to the rich, intense, powerful styles. And they have something really unique, stylistically unique here. So we've got 12 wines in the tasting, and they will all have a representative, either a winemaker or a winery owner will be talking about the wine. And 6 of the wines will be represented by Andras, who we have here. And he's now going to explain to you how the wines were selected.
Thank you very much. The honor is mine that I can be the co-representatives of these 6 wines, and I can represent the Villagnyi wine region. So this is our 8 years in Villagnyi when we choose the top 12 Cabernet Franc of the region, which we introduce every year in our Franc conference, which is an international conference where we introduce the top Villagnyi wine producers, Cabernet Franc, and compare with different topics international. France, like from Loire, or like from the New World. And the way of the selection, what we introduce you now, it's every year we have this contest, if I can say that. It's a blind tasting where every winemaker able to send their wines whose wine is already on the market. And it's a blind tasting. The jury members, the local winemakers and local wine experts, they don't know the wines, just the categories. We have 3 categories, which is a classic. We will explain later on what does it mean, this category name, premium and super premium. During the blind tasting, we always choose 3 from the classicus category, 6 different sample from premium category, and 3 different sample from super premium category. Normally, it's around 60, 70 wines what the winemakers send into the contest. And from this, we choose the best 12, which will represent the Villagnyi wine region during the next year, all year activities, like any domestic and international activities. Like in the ProWine, we have own stand with Villagnyi, and where we introduce our top 12 Villagnyi Franc. Rose?
Great, thank you. So can we have the slides? Lovely. And the first slide, I'm going to talk first about Cabernet Franc grape variety, then I will introduce the region, and then obviously we'll start talking about each wine. So Cabernet Franc has a great history and heritage, originally from the Basque country, which is northwest Spain, Western Pyrenees. So this was from the DNA analysis that they did in 2019. They've discovered that this is where its origin was, and it's a parent of Cabernet Sauvignon, Carmenère, and Merlot. But I feel that Cabernet Franc retains freshness and varietal character at high alcohol levels better than these three grape varieties. And Cabernet Franc also has great flavor at modest alcohol levels as well. It's good at adapting to different climates and soils, and it's very expressive of where it's grown. It grows well on different soils, as you can see, limestone, clay, loess, loam, alluvial, and sand. And let's just talk about the Cabernet Franc characteristics. I explained to you that I love the grape variety. It's a very charming grape variety. It's aromatic, scented, the spiciness. And on a cooler climate, it tends to have crunchy cranberry fruits. In a warmer climate like Villany, it tends to have more sort of black fruit character. It's really juicy fruit, sweet tannins, and has long aging potential. And I love that combination between the sort of sinew and strength that it has with its subtlety and its aroma. And I think that it's a grape variety that's also benefiting greatly from climate change in certain parts of the world, which I'll talk about in a minute. So it's a late budder and mid-season ripener, and it ripens about 10 days earlier than Cabernet Sauvignon. Small berries, good affinity to oak, and different types of oak, which we're going to talk about, Hungarian, French, American, but it's not necessary to age it in oak. High acidity, it's got a medium to high acidity, it's got this lovely freshness, medium to high tannins, and certainly in the Villany region, you get these lovely soft velvety tannins and medium to full body. So next slide, we talk about Cabernet Franc around the world. You can see where the plantings are around the world. 2/3 are in France. Now, Bordeaux, the planting size has actually gone down slightly for Cabernet Franc. It makes up about 9% of the whole region. But on the left bank, it was very much, when I say left bank, I mean Medoc and Grave. It was planted really as an insurance policy against Cabernet Sauvignon, because Cabernet Sauvignon is a late ripener. But Merlot has very much sort of started to take Cabernet Franc's place on the left bank, but it really comes into its own on the right bank in Saint-Emilion and parts of Pomerol. And there are some producers in Saint-Emilion like Château Cheval Blanc, Trottevier, Le Dôme, l'Angelus, who have Cabernet Franc, the dominant part of their blend with Merlot. In the Loire, can we go back? Sorry, I haven't finished yet. In the Loire, it's an important grape variety as a single varietal. Chinon, Bourgogne, Saumur, Champagny, Saint-Nicolas de Bourgogne, and there's also Anjou Rouge. And I think with the recent vintages we've seen in the Loire, we're getting riper styles here rather than the older, cool vintages that we had in the past where the wines were quite austere. Looking at Italy just quickly, we see that it's in the Friuli, Veneto, northeast, but I think it's best in Bulgari, which is in the Tuscan coast, where other French grape varieties are grown. America, interestingly enough, it's the most planted red grape variety in New York State, in the Finger Lake areas. It's a very hardy grape variety. And it's also copes really well with unexpected late season rains and humidity and winter cold. It's planted in Pennsylvania, in Virginia, Washington State, Canada, parts of California, and Chile, used as a blender. But there's some really interesting examples coming out of Chile, some lovely lush examples as well. Then we move to Hungary. You can see Hungary's up there, 2% of the world plantings of Cabernet Franc. Argentina blends, quite popular blending it with Malbec, but there are some producers like Polenta, Bianchi, who are producing single varietals, Cabernet Francs. And in South Africa, again, single varietal examples coming from Stellenbosch, like Rats and Warwick, very good examples, and Chamonix. And then don't forget also that it's planted in Bulgaria, some interesting examples in Sarsaka and the Danube Plains as well. But we're going to focus on the next slide, which is on Hungary. So we can see here, obviously, that the most plantings of Cabernet Franc in Hungary are in the Villany region. But just to mention quickly, the other two that would be quite interesting for you maybe to compare would be Eger region and Szekszárd, which are the two just below it, but they are very different in style. Eger is up in the northeast of Hungary. It's cooler, rhyolite soils, brown forest soil, a little bit of limestone, but tends to be a very different style to the richer, riper style that you get in Villagny. And Sexard it's down nearer Villagny, but it's cooler there and lower soil, so you get a softer style. I've tasted some good examples from around the southern side of Lake Balaton and Panonalma as well, but Villagny is the place. So let's have a look at Villagny as a region itself to see. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So here is Villagny. You can see it's right down in the south, very close to the Croatian border, about 5 kilometers from the Croatian border. And a continental climate with a sort of sub-Mediterranean influence due to the Adriatic Sea. So there's a sort of mild Mediterranean influence coming. And if you look at the inset map, you'll see where it is in relation to the Adriatic. If you were to drive from Villagny to the Croatian coast, it would probably take about 4 or 5 hours. So there's a sort of mild influence there. And Villagny is one of the most densely planted regions in Hungary. It was also the first place where growers bottled their own wines. So can we have the next slide, please? Because I think that, right, so here, let's look at a few more facts about Villagny. The size, 2,400 hectares, a hilly region, altitude 140 to 350 meters, more than 80% red now, but historically, it was actually an important white wine region. And today we have Cabernet Franc has 14% of the plantings in this region. And Villagny really first made its name in the 1990s with powerful Bordeaux blends. And that's why it's known as Bordeaux of the East. And these French grape varieties have really found a home here. And they're producing something that is unique stylistically. Well, I think it is anyway. And also they have this fascinating range of different vineyards. So there's so much to learn, not just about one region, but also all the different microclimates within the vineyards. But the style, obviously, in Villagny is different to the style that you would expect to find in France. You get riper fruit here, softer acid, dark fruit, and that sort of spiciness and these lovely velvety tannins. But you also get lovely floral perfume and elegance, and can be very flattering when they're young, but they age really well as well. So let's have the next slide, which I think explains to you a little bit more. Have a look a little bit more of the detail here of the region. So basically, the vineyards are on the southern slopes of the Villagny Hills, and they're protected from the northern cold. And you can see on the eastern part, you can see Villagny. So that tends to be the warmest part. And then the other part to look at is in the centre, a place called Chiclos. And so Villagny has itself and then 4 settlements, and then you have Chiclos, which tends to have more limestone. Quite a lot of the white grape varieties are grown there as well, but in terms of the Cabernet Franc that are produced there, they're very elegant styles. But we're going to talk much more in depth about the different types of soils found and the different vineyards. In terms of the sunshine hours, you can see it's similar to Bordeaux, but that's pretty much where the similarity ends because there's no large mass of water here. Average temperature about 11 degrees, and then growing season average 17.5, which is actually similar to Bordeaux, but has 700 millimeters, I think, of rain as well. So we have the next slide. I think this one explains to you about the grape varieties that are grown within this region. So Cabernet Sauvignon is still the most planted, but Cabernet Franc is coming up from behind. And definitely it is their signature grape variety. It's their flagship grape variety in this region. And they've really managed in the last few years to make themselves into one of the most important regions in the world for Cabernet Franc. Now, there are other grape varieties, what I'll just quickly mention, and I haven't mentioned the history because it's got a long history, this region, back to Roman times. But the early 18th century, the Slavs brought Kadaka grape variety. And by the end of the 18th century, there were a lot of Germans, Swabian Germans based here, and they brought with them the Portuguese grape variety. And they brought with them their advanced viticultural knowledge and their hardworking culture. And Portuguesa is now used for what they call the Villanyi Ready. So basically they have two brands, Villanyi Ready and Villanyi Franc. And Villanyi Ready is Portuguesa with other grape varieties. I mentioned briefly that there were more whites planted than red. That was pre-phylloxera, and then things have gradually changed. But actually, even in 1935, Olas Riesling was the most planted grape variety here, but no longer. Things are really changing, and now obviously red grape varieties are coming to the fore. So let's now look at the next slide. And this shows you the length of the region, see 35 kilometers long, and there's a minor difference between the plots. And we're going to talk specifically when we get to each wine about where it comes from, and we'll keep showing you this map and show you where the vineyard is and show you the different microclimates, because some are warmer than others. As I said, you tend to get the warmest vineyard areas in the eastern side, and then Chiclos, the plateau, tends to be a little bit cooler, and then there's a difference between the soil types as well. And then the next slide, I just wanted to highlight to you what a beautiful region it was and to encourage you to visit. It's just 2 hours from Budapest, south of Budapest, and there are 17 villages to explore. Villanyi has 250 producers, of which 150 produce wine commercially. And of those, 47 wineries are open for tasting on the wine route. And all the wineries in our tasting are part of the wine route. So Villanyi Chiclos wine route was the first wine route in Hungary. So they're very much pioneers in a lot of things in Hungary. Great place, lots of places to stay here, 7 different restaurants. And so you can taste the wines and match them with different cuisine. And there's so much to do. There's hiking and walking and biking and fortresses to visit and shrines and mosques and sculpture parks. And then you can relax in a spa. So lots of things to do. So please go to the region, fascinating region, and I hope you enjoy the tasting. So we're now going to start talking specifically about each wine and the tasting. So if we can have the next slide. Now, Andras mentioned that there were different classifications, and you'll see on your tasting card that we've got 1 Classicus, which is what we're going to taste in a minute. Then we've got 7 premium wines, and then we've got 4 super premium. So there's a classification for Cabernet Franc, which is all 3, Classicus, premium, and super premium. But you'll notice that the first wine just says Cabernet Franc. It doesn't say Villanyi Franc. So Villanyi Francs are all either premium or super premium. So I'll repeat that when we get to wine number 2, and Andras could probably talk about it so that you understand, because I think that sometimes it takes a little bit, this is quite complicated, the different classifications to understand, but it's Classicus, premium, and super premium. So shall we start off first with our first representative?
Well, just one thing, we have 3 questions in the chat. Can you see them?
Okay, we've got, you mentioned climate change impact. Does it impact this variety?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big question. Definitely it has helped in the Loire because they've had quite cool vintages, and now they're having a run of warmer vintages and they're getting a riper style. And I think it definitely does. I think you get riper fruit. You don't get quite so much of the pyrazine bell pepper characters. And you don't get quite so much savory character when you in a warmer climate. You tend to get a sort of lusher style and a lovely velvety fruit style. What would you say, Andras?
Andras is muted. Andras,
I'm here. Okay,
yeah.
Successfully unmuted. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Rose. So it's the last, I would say, 5 or more years are every year was very warm, and the harvest date is earlier and earlier. More riper fruits, but because of sometimes it's a heat wave, the grape or wine itself just the close and keep the acidity and don't let the sugar rise. So normally these years, the couple, I would say last 3 years, it was with a pretty firm acidity. And the other hand, with time, the sugar level is coming up. So what we have to facing always not a problem, but like a challenge, how we can reduce the alcohol. Just today, it's 5th of September, but it's almost 30 Celsius degree here. So it's really it's we say sub-Mediterranean, but it's closer now to the Mediterranean climate.
But one of the good things about Cabernet Franc is its acidity, and it can, as I mentioned right at the beginning, it can retain this freshness, even at high alcohol levels, and that's not something that other grape varieties can do, actually. And I think it also fits really well with what the modern consumer wants. They want a juicy style of wine, they want freshness, and they want an elegant wine, and they want finesse. And I think Cabernet Franc really does fit into that bill very well. And you're asking what food pairings, obviously. What I thought we maybe do that every time we talk about the wines, because they're all quite different. But I mean, we could talk generally if you want, but maybe that would be a better way of doing it.
Yeah, let's. I think that would be the best. And the first question actually: does the region have leading women-run wineries? I believe this will be at the end very, very clear. So let's wait with this.
Yes, we have.
Yes, I know. Hungary is very much at the forefront of this, I think. Eastern Europe, actually, it's really quite interesting. Very open to female winemakers, and some of them are the best. So shall we invite the first speaker?
I believe so, yes. And the first speaker is Jakpo. Yes. And this is Borbala. So Borbala, the voice is given to you, and I'm turning off.
Hello. Borbala, are you there?
Borbala, hello. Yes.
Oh, she's there. Excellent. Hello. Nice to see
you. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Poland. I'm very pleased to participate in this seminar, and thank you very much for the possibility. So my name is Borbala Jandrasic, and I am the co-owner of Jakfal Winery. And we are very proud that now, actually, just talking about women, now there are 3 girls owning the winery. So although we are not the winemakers, our winemaker is a man, András Kőszeli, but I think it is very important that women are more and more involved in wineries, in winemaking, in wine tourism, and hospitality. So this is our first wine, actually, that we are going to present soon. But before I talk about the wine, I would like to introduce the winery a little bit. So we are based in Kis-Jakabfalva, which is a very remote little village next to Villany, and it has Swedish origins. So that's why our name, Jakfal, you can easily say that you could read it as Jackfall, but Jakfal is actually the Swedish name of this little village, Kis-Jakabfalva. So that's why we call our winery Jakfal. As you can see, and I'm really happy to be part of the Slow Guide seminar, because if you come to us and visit us, there you experience slow life, hopefully not slow service, because we are trying our best. But really, if you arrive to Kis-Jakabfalva, time just stops, and there you are enjoying the wines and the climate and the silence. So I think Jakfal really fits in the Slow Guide. Piotr. So we have 14 hectares, and so we process our own grape, mainly red wines, and one of our major variety is Cabernet Franc. As I mentioned, our winemaker is András Kőszeli, And as you can see, we own very small Swedish mansion. You can see that there are nicely painted rooms that we renovated in 2005. So if you visit us, you can learn about the history of the region, and really you can be enchanted by these old rooms and old atmosphere compared with modern attitude that we represent, I believe.
So when was the winery? Can I just ask you, when was
Yes.
the winery founded?
Yes, the winery was founded actually just 20 years ago, so in 2002. So we started to produce our wines in 2000, 2002, when we bought this little estate in Kishiakapfava, and then we started to produce more wine, and we started to buy the vineyards. So as you can see now on the map, the vineyard that we have the classic Cabernet Franc from is Bozor. It is just right on the right-hand side, middle kind of. It has earth with low space and with some red clay. And as we have talked about climate change, I have to say that especially this year was a very drought year. So there were very low rain. And that's why actually it is a very interesting time for us, because harvest has already started. And I can say that we harvest Cabernet Franc probably next week already, which is like the soonest ever in the last, I don't know, 50 years. So so I have to say that climate change does affect us as well. But the grape's gonna be really nice and ripe. So it's going to be a nice vintage, but the harvest starts much earlier this year. And just a few words about the wine, because I can see the time is really clicking. So is the Cabernet Franc Classic, which you already mentioned, and András already mentioned. There are different categories. So this is one of the Classicus wines that we are going to taste. But actually, we produce our classic wines the same as we produce the premium wines. So it does have an oak aging. It spent 18 months in 500-liter oak barrels, and also we have a very nice vineyard culture. So we processed with 24 days macerated on skins. And then we wait at least 30 months before putting on the market. So there is also a big bottle aging. And I just quickly taste the wine, because I know it's a wine tasting seminar.
Can I just ask you what type of oak you use, whether you use Hungarian or French oak?
Actually, in the case of Cabernet Franc, we use Hungarian oak, but we work also with French oak. So our winemaker is experiencing with oaks all the time. So he knows exactly from the 20 years of experience that which grape variety from which terroir goes well with which oak. So first we started to use Hungarian oak barrels from Trust Hungary and Kádár. These are barrel producers, and now we are experiencing more and more with French oak, and we have really nice results.
And the question somebody's just asked is the first use of the barrel, what is it used for?
First use of this barrel?
Yes, because you've said it's second use.
Oh yes,
barrel.
yes. So we use our new barrels for premium wines. So when we talk about the different categories, we use the premium wine. We fill the new oak barrels with premium wines material, so to say. And then if we have a classic wine category, then we use it for second or third use. Thank you very much for the question.
Yeah.
So quickly about the wine. Well, it's a slow wine, so it really needs time. It opens up really nicely. And as you mentioned, Rose, it has nice cranberry notes and some prune already. So it's the vintage of 2017. So it's already a nice wine with alcohol of 14.5, which is very typical of Villagne, that we have quite high alcohol. But just tasting it, it's nicely blended in the structure. It has quite a full body. Still, it's really elegant. But actually, Rose, I would be really interested about your notes of this wine, because I know you have tasted them several times.
Yes, absolutely. And a good vintage, 2017. Obviously, we haven't mentioned the 2017 vintage, but an outstandingly good vintage this comes from.
Yes.
I thought that my wine description was plums and blackcurrants. Actually, I didn't necessarily get cranberry, but I got a sort of green herby character as well, and I got a lovely spiciness, and I got cherries and a sort of pepperiness. And then I got these lovely soft tannins and a lovely sort of mellow character to it. And personally, it's the sort of thing that I would love to have with something like lamb. I don't know what you would suggest food-wise with it.
I think lamb is a perfect choice, and also we are very famous of the stew. So from beef stew, I would also pair it nicely with a beef stew or with aged cheese. I would say that it really goes well with aged cheese as well.
Great, thank you. And please, could you give us the price and the number of bottles that you produce?
Yes, we produce 13,000 bottles of this wine, and the price is about 13 euros.
Thank you very much. And it's lovely to see you. Thank you very much. And I hope everyone's enjoying her wine.
And we hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Sorry, another question. Is this wine available in Poland? Do you know? Do you have a distributor in Poland?
We don't have yet. So that's why we also wanted to be present at this seminar, because we are really looking forward to any Polish connection. So we would be very happy to have our wines in Poland.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you very much, Borba, and sorry for
Goodbye.
pronouncing badly your name.
No, it's Hungarian. It's a hard language. Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
And now, thank you very much. Now, this is Ondras, this is your time. Yeah, this next two wines, it's you. And you're muted? No?
No,
Yes.
I'm here.
No, it's fine. Good. Ondras?
I'm here. And a little bit about the classification. Okay, so the first wine was a classicus category, which means it's a maximum 13 tons per hectare, the wine, but it's more important, there is no any compulsory aging. So you can use oak if you want to, but it's not necessary. Some of the producers won't use any oak. Some of the producers use second fill oak for 6 to 12 months. It's up to the style of the winery. The next category is already a premium category. The premium category, there is already a lower yield, which means it's 8.5 tons per hectare. And there is already a minimum 1 year oak maturation. This normally would take, as you will see in the tasting, it's from 12 months to 24 months in Villagne, but at least 1 year in oak, and it normally takes to the market after the third years, if I can say that. And then we will discuss later on the super premium, which is more restricted yield, and there is a minimum of 2 years aging, from which minimum 1 year in the oak, but it normally takes, I would say, minimum of 20 to 24 months oak aging, and then at least 1 year rest down to the bottle.
So can we have the slide for the wine number? Yeah,
number 2. Yeah, this is lovely, charming wine bar, but you can see this is owned by the Lelovich family winery. And if we go into the next slide, then we will have a picture from the winemaker and the owner, Tamás Lelovich. This is a typical mid-size or small mid-size family-owned winery, which is run by Tamás, who's the owner and the winemaker, and his wife, who is responsible for running the company. So it's the man does creating the things, and his wife dealing everything else in the business. So they have altogether 11 hectares and around 1.2 hectare, which is a Cabernet Franc from there. The yearly production, the total production of the winery is around 120, 140,000 bottles. In terms of vineyard area and both in terms of the production, we can say that this is a typical mid-size winery in terms of Villagne. They have a small wine bar in the we can say in the down central part of the village in Villagne, where is a line in the pedestrian area where you can find many wine cellars with tasting rooms, and one of this very small and charming tasting rooms owned by the Lelovich winery. So they have many domestic prizes and medals, if I can say that. For example, that particular Cabernet Franc, which we're gonna taste, that's on the prize of the wine of the Parliament in last year. And also just this year, they reached the highest scored red wine in the Hungarian National Wine Competition. So they are, I would say, it's with a very high prestige, very high quality representing winery, even within Villagne. So if we go to the next, as Rose, you already mentioned that Villagne is stretched out for 35 kilometers long, and from that we would distinguish, or we can distinguish two parts. One is the easterly part, what we call Villagne, that's more hilly or steeper slopes, what we can find, and the warmer area with with different microclimates. And mostly the soil here is brown forest floor, clay, loam, and marl, with a little bit of limestone. If we're going for the westerly part, is more and more limestone, what we can find, some and topsoil is less. And as you already mentioned, there is a plateau where it's a little bit cooler, the climate, but less dramatic steep soils compared to the Villagne. So what we have here in terms of Lelovich, that they are in the more Siklós part, and the Bocor single vineyard, where is the grape variety, the location of the single vineyard. So here is the soil is on the limestone bedrock is lush. The aspect, the orientation is southwest, as almost every, not every, but the majority of the sites here, what we can find. The elevation is in a mid elevation, is around 150 meters above sea level. And about the age of the wine is a 2003 plantation. And about the yield, the general yield is around 1 kilo per wine, or sometimes a little bit smaller. Okay, so the next slide. As you can see, this is the premium category and all the necessary information about the Bocor. Bocor is the name of the single vineyard, where is the grape come from. The majority of the soil is lush. And then about the wine, about the vintage, okay, you already mentioned that was a brilliant vintage. It's one of the best vintage of the decade, the 2017. We say really it was outstanding. It's very balanced vintage, even though it was a quite warm. The harvest time was first week of October, which is, we can say, average in this area. And about the winemaking, it was controlled yeast fermentation. And as your slide shows, 20 days keen maceration took place in stainless steel vat, and also the malolactic fermentation went down here. And then put in the oak for 16 months, mostly 300 liters, first and second fill. And this is just Hungarian oak. We have two big oak forests here in Hungary, one up the north next to Tokaj, that's a Zemplén, and one up downhill. Here it's next to Villanyi, or it's not far from Villanyi. That's the Mecek forest. So that's what we have, all the Hungarian oak what we can have here. And this is the wine, okay? And I already poured just a sip, okay? It has a very warm nose, very ripe with darker fruits, and also you can feel the presence of the oak with a lot of sweet spice and a little bit of toastiness. But what you can feel, I think, in the first touch, that's the Mediterranean influence of the region.
I got black cherries, a little bit of tobacco and an earthy character, but I thought that the oak was really carefully managed. And
Absolutely.
I'd be interested to hear from you what you think Hungarian oak gives to the wine in comparison to French oak.
Well, the Hungarian oak, it's first of all, is one of the main oak species of the world. And it's produced a lot of delivered a lot of Hungarian oak to France, to Italy, and over the seas as well. We have at least two very well-known cooperage company in Hungary. Normally would say that the Hungarian oak gives structure and tannin. It's very dense in tannin, so not maybe, and from there it's already up to the cooper company or idea of the cooper what he creates from that, but the tannin and the structure, what is a Hungarian oak gives to the wine.
And can we have the price and the number of bottles
Yeah,
produced?
absolutely. So the production level is 2,500 bottles yearly from this one, and the price was this is the retail price is 17 euro, 17 euros here in Hungary.
And I think we've got a little note that somebody's given us. Very nicely balanced, love the fruitiness. I think that was from this wine. So
it's very dense, dark fruitiness. It's very juicy. It's especially very good in the autumn or in the fall. Maybe the summer is sometimes it's too hot, but it's okay.
And shows a really good small artisan producer, well, medium-sized artisan producer in Villanyi, which Villanyi does really well. So should we move on to the next winery?
Just last question, the distributor in Poland, if there is any, do you have any?
No, they don't have it. They mostly on the domestic market, they try to put into or get into the Polish market, and they're willing to have distributor there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so the next wine, it's also a family winery called Rupert. Rupert Borhaus, it means Rupert Wine House. It's almost the same size of winery as the previous one. It's a family-run winery, which is run by sisters and brothers. We don't. If you have a next picture, probably we will see. I think yes. So the lady on the right, she's Scottish. She runs the company, so she's responsible for the whole structure and the whole operation. The gentleman in the middle, he's Ákos. He's an enologist and he's a winemaker. He's oldest, if I can say that. And the smiley guy on the left, that's András, who is responsible for the labeling, for packaging, for a design, a little bit of marketing, and also the transportation. So it's like every normal winery, they do everything. So it's from the very beginning, from the wine up to the delivery. The foundation year, it was 2002. That was when the first wine was planted. And 2006 was the first release bottle for the winery. They have 10 hectares altogether, from which the Cabernet Franc is almost the 50%. That shows the devotion of the variety of the family and András, the winemaker. The yearly production, what they have altogether, is around 70,000 bottles, which 95% goes to the Hungarian market. They have just a very small export because of the interest of the Hungarian market. I asked him if you would like to share something about your history, your family history of the wine. He said, people have to know we are the first generation winemakers. So it's they witness winemakers, they learn and experience everything on the field. They don't have any previous practice, and the courage and devotion what they had at the very beginning, and then everything else they learned on the field. So about the wine, what we have here, or the location where we have here.
Hopefully the next slide will show us.
Yeah.
Good.
So we are now, it's the most westerly part of the region. It's called Diósviszló. It's we just circled the area. It's this is a most westerly and almost the most southern part of the region. Here is the soil is limestone based rock and very high contained loess. What we can find, which a little bit mix of brown forest floor. This is on the plateau of the area, and south exposure, southwest orientation. Elevation is around 200 meters, so it's a little bit above than the previous wine was. The age of the wine is from 2002, so from the very beginning. What they have, the yield is 1 kilo per wine. So this is general yield what they used, the maximum, I would say, on the premium category. Again, the harvest date was the first week of October, which was a very warm, it was a very long hanging time in 2015, 17.
17.
Yeah, 17. And about the winemaking, if we get to the following slide. Thank you. Then it's hand-picked, hand-selected, steamed, fermented in stainless steel. Also, the melodic fermentation went done here in the stainless steel. And as you can see, it's aged a little bit longer than the previous wine. So it's that's what I said. If it's premium, it means from, I would say, 16 to 24 months normally, and they use around 20 months. It's partly new and used oak. 70% is Hungarian because of the structure, and 30% French oak, and this is the 225 liter. The French oak sometimes give an extra spiciness. Some people say maybe some elegant also, but also the Hungarian oak can be very, very elegant. And about the wine, okay, this is so the little brother is responsible for the label. There's a rabbit with a hat. Okay, his eyes catching. If you check all their wines and all the labels is like this, and it's a little bit cooler, the nose, than the previous one. It's probably because of the higher percentage of limestone what we can have here in the soil, and we are a little bit higher above the sea level. It's pretty spicy, peppery notes, what you can feel, and less, and I would say it's a combination of fragrant red and blackberry fruits, not just blackberry fruits like previously.
I thought it was quite spicy actually, and had a very nice broad structure to it, and good aging potential, I would have said, but it definitely had more acidity and freshness than the other two.
Absolutely. I would say this is a high acidity, what we can have here with the firm structure, form tannin and balanced structure. It's vivid and ripe red and black fruits combination with the beautiful peppery notes. And it's a very lingering finish. And it does have very long aging potential. And the last 8 years, every year when they send samples to the top 12, they was chosen. They was picked to the line. So
great. So can we have the price and the number of bottles they produce?
Yeah, they have 5,000 bottles from these critical vintages. April vintage, and the price is 13 euros. So it's a very good price.
Very good price. Yes. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a note here, very elegant and smooth, despite the spiciness.
Yeah, and they don't have end distributor in Poland.
Well, thank
Perfect.
you very much indeed, Andras. So can we have the next participant?
Yeah, next is Erhard from Switzerland, but he's
Well,
Hungarian
from
as
Milan.
well. Yeah. And thank you, Andras. Stay with us as you're coming back pretty soon, right? Erhard,
Definitely.
I hope you will manage to do it and you will join us from the heart of the Switzerland. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Hi. Hello.
Okay,
Hear you?
perfect. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Erhard Heumann. As you might see from the name, that's not typical Hungarian, even if some Hungarians have German yeah, footsteps. I am German. To be precise, I'm Bavarian. And together with my Swiss wife, Evelyn, we are running the winery like the other three before. We are a family winery. We are both running the winery with support of winemaker and somebody who is responsible for the vineyard, and somebody in the working in the office. Okay, we started in 2003, and the reason why we came to Hungary is quite simple. We came down by accident because approximately 30 years ago, my father-in-law.
Erhard, sorry, we have a problem with the sound, and
Okay.
could you perhaps move forward, right? And let's try.
Mhm.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
better.
Is it better now?
No, it's still. Could you turn off the camera and stay on the radio only, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and let's say something.
Okay. It's better now.
Now it is better. Yes, please
Okay.
continue like that. The
Okay.
connection is weak. Mhm.
What I wanted to say is that my father-in-law, who was making fireplaces back home in Zurich, came down here because somebody has told him that there's a company where he can make his metal parts for his fireplaces. It did not work, but he came back. He has bought a small plot of land with some wines on it. First, we thought he's a little bit crazy guy, but then over time, when we visited him, we fell in love with the region. And as Evelyn and I are huge wine lovers, so we decided to try to make our own wine. The first one was in '96. Then with fluctuating success the following years as well. Then we had to decide if we want to go the professional way or if we stay on as an amateur. So we decided to go professional wise. And in 2003 we started then, built a winery from scratch in the industrial park because we are not allowed as foreigners buy agricultural land then. So, and the first year we made 2,000 bottles. Now we produce 30,000 bottles, which will be the, the upper level. So we won't grow any further. And we have approximately 3 hectares plus for Cabernet Franc, from 11 to 12 hectares in total. That means we put quite a lot of importance to this grape variety. The other grape varieties, the red ones, which we have, I personally love Francoche, and the others, of course, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, now also a little bit of Petit Verdot, and we have Syrah. And like Rose mentioned in the beginning, we also have white wine. So as a German, of course, I need to have Riesling, not Olas, but real German Riesling. And you have some bottles of Gewürztraminer. Okay, our vineyards are located in the mainly located in the Schickhoff sub-area, in Schickhoff itself, in Wockheim, and also in Dio-Schwieslow. That means we have 3 hectares, 3 vineyards, sorry. 3 vineyards we are using for this Cabernet Franc, La Trinita. I have to explain a little bit because the majority of the grapes are sourced from a vineyard called Trinitas. This is on the Wockheim Hill. And Trinitas, we had a problem with that in the US because there's already a Californian winery which has registered this name as a trademark. So we had to change the name after 2 years to La Trinita. It's the same, but yeah, hopefully we will have no problems anymore. Okay, the majority, like I said, is from this Trinitas vineyard. This is a plateau on approximately 230 meters above sea level, surrounded at least to 2/3 by forest, which helps to cool down, especially during the night, the vineyard. It's personally, for me, this is the best vineyard we have because it's the sun, when it starts the sun shining, then it warms up very, very fast. But when it's going through the night, then it cools down very good. So that gives you much more elegance in the wine and more fruitiness in the wine. Okay, this one, Trinitas, and one in 600 square meters in Schickhoff itself. It's called Akastropha, which means gallows tree. I presume they have hanged some people there in earlier times. And a little bit we source from the western part, from Dio-Schwieslow, from the Nutshade. And altogether, I think this also gives it's 3 La Trinita. And yeah. So the yield we have is quite low. We have 25 hectoliters per hectare. That means around 5,000. As a 25 hectoliters per hectare, because I'm always thinking in hectoliters. I think it's a combination of the rootstocks we use. We use Verco, which is low yielding, with the top 2 clones, 214 and 327. And so we don't have to do any green harvest or things like this, and we do not get more yield than this 25 hectoliters. I'm wondering how much we will have this year, because the berries are very, very small, almost no juice in it, so will be a little bit demanding, I think. So what the winemaking, you can see handpicked, sorted, and controlled fermentation, malolactic, so for approximately 3 weeks. And we keep the wine for 24 months in new and used barrels, mainly 500 liter, some smaller, 205 liters, until 2017 and 18. I think it was only Hungarian oak and a mixture of Semplin oak as well as from the Medjug area. It's approximately a third is new oak, and 1/3 is second filling and 1/3 third filling. And as you can see, this has 15 alcohol, but when you taste it, I think you don't feel it, because they have a very good acidity, not as high as Rocca before, but usually we have more than this 5.5. You're usually going also to 6 grams per liter, and I think.
Erhard, sorry, we have some technical issues and we are not hearing you very well. But let me ask you 3 final questions, basic questions about the total production of this wine in bottles, price, retail price, and distributor. in Poland, if you have any.
Yeah, okay. We produced 4,500 bottles, which is already going to the end.
How many bottles?
The price is approximately 25 euro.
25
And
euro?
the import is, we have an importer which has this wine, which is Pavel Rimanchik, something like this. I don't know how to spell it.
And his name is, sorry,
Pavel Rimanchik something.
Paweł Rymarczyk. Perfectly
Rymarczyk,
pronounced.
okay.
Yes, from Krakow. Great. Yes, this is the one thing I really heard well. Paweł Rymarczyk. Yes, I actually, it's not far from me. Wow, good. And the total production in bottles, because I haven't heard.
4,500. Was 4,500.
4,500 bottles.
4,500, yeah.
4,500 bottles, and he's only got 1,200 bottles left.
Yep.
Okay, so great, thank you. Sorry for taking you for I understood you are Hungarian living in Switzerland and not Bavarian living in Hungary and in Switzerland. But anyway, of course, the best club, the best football club is, of course, Bayern.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Yes. Good. Well, guys, thank you very much. Thank you, Erhard. And
I want to just comment that this is one of my favorite wines. I think it's really well made, and I think it carries its 15% alcohol really well. Lovely dried cherry fruit character, very well integrated oak, very impressive. And it's one of the few actually that is available in the UK. So I think he sells pretty well outside.
Erhard? Well,
Sorry.
no.
So Rose were speaking. So I didn't understand what.
No, it's fine. Rose is, I believe, Rose is frozen now.
She's frozen.
Yes, she's frozen. So Rose, please turn off your camera. Turn off your camera if you can. If you cannot, please close the window and come back. We will let you in. So Andras, thank you, Erhard. And Andras, this is you now, as you are acting. Rose, you're coming back. Yes.
Oh, did I go away?
You did. Yes. Actually,
did you hear anything that I said?
Well, no.
We heard that you like very much, and the wine.
I like the human wine, and I thought it was more old world style, and it's going to be really interesting to compare it with this wine because it's more new world style.
Yeah, the upcoming.
So Andras, you take it away.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the next winery is Jammertal estate, which is the speaker would be Zsófia Kövesdi, but the winemaker, but she unfortunately couldn't make it, so that's why I represented the winery. So now we're talking about a bigger producer compared to the previous old producers what we have here, because we are talking about 75 hectares own vineyard area, plus 35 hectares from growers. So it's around 110 hectares altogether. And as you can see, the annual production is over 500,000 bottles, so over 500,000 bottles yearly. The owner is Dr. Robert Szűcs. The winemaker is on the picture is Zsófia Kövesdi. She is a very, very talented young winemaker who has international expertise over the seas in Europe as well. And the first answer for the question, what was the very beginning, there is any woman winemaker in the winery. She's woman, she's talented, she's very young, and she produced brilliant red wines.
Can we have the next slide? Because I think the next slide, that describes where she's worked.
Yeah, absolutely. So she had Australian, Californian, New Zealand, and Portugal experience, And that's the style, that's the international knowledge what she tried to convert into the Yammertal production as well. So about the Cabernet Franc, what we have here, they have a quite lot Cabernet Franc surface area, almost 20 hectares altogether. And this wine is coming from two areas, actually. Is one is Het Saint Martin, another one is Diósviszló, which is the two most westerly part of the Villany-Siklós wine region in the Siklós sub-region, and also some part based on the information is from the Villany part. So we can say this is more like an estate wine than the single vineyard selected wine. The soil of this western area is mostly limestone, the combination with brown forest floor and some part with a little bit of lush. The aspect and orientation is south, and the orientation is north-south. The elevation is 250 meters, so we're stepping up a little bit above the sea level. And the age of the wine is 16 years old. They have a little bit lower yield than the previous wine, so it's 0.8 kilogram per wine. So they don't reach the kilo per wine, so it's super concentrated. And the harvest date is at 2016, the vintage, which vintage was a very elegant vintage. It's good, dry, warm, and sunny. We would say in these days normal vintage. Really, it's the biggest problem for us, the lack of the rain, the lack of the water. But all other factors in the last couple of years, it was almost perfect. This year, it's extreme. Last year was it was also extreme because of the lack of the rain. In last year, we had 3 months, 3 continuous months where we don't have even a drop of water. In this year, at least we have some period of rain, but just a very, very few millimeters. So 2016, in this case, wasn't that dry. Warm, sunny, normal vintage, pretty elegant structure, which gives the wine. The vintage date was from 10 to 13 of October. So the mid-October vintage. And harvested, cold soaked, fermented in cool temperature, stainless steel temperature, were pressed, and also the melodic fermentation went down here in the stainless steel. It spanned to 18 to 24 months in small, mainly American oak, and it's a butter selection happened before the bottling. And the American oak is always gives some extra sweet spiciness of the wine, some coconut, some vanilla, which makes a bit more customer friendly, if I can say that. And I would say it's not a coincidence that they use American oak, not just because of the experience what she has, but also compared to the other wineries, except Heumann, which has a serious number of percentage of export. The Yammertal has real numbers in export. So they focus on mostly on the international market instead of the domestic. They have distributors in China, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Japan, Romania, Austria, and Germany. So this is a line that shows that their focus more on the international market than on the domestic market. What else? What can I say about the production level? It's between 5 and 10,000 bottles. I don't have exact number, but somewhere there about the production level. And the retail price was 20 euros of this particular wine. And they have many international prizes with the Cabernet Franc. They have gold medal from Concours Mondial from 2000, Brussels from 2021. They have Wine and Women International Award Madrid 2019, Citadel de Vin 2017. So they have many international awards about their wines.
Very sort of generous style, isn't it? Lovely black fruit and that lovely sweet vanilla. But I think if you're using American oak, I think you have to be quite careful with Cabernet Franc. I think you have to know what you're doing. And obviously, she's worked in Australia. She's worked in countries that use a lot of American oak. She's also a really interesting winemaker in that she's very forward thinking, and she was talking to me about the different grape varieties that she wanted to plant in Villagne, like Touriga Nacional and things like that. So it's great to have somebody so young and so talented and with lots of experience from abroad.
Absolutely. It's already was mentioned that Villagne is basically, the majority of the Villagne is Swabish, with Swabish roots. And in these days, I would say, after the changes in the 90s, 4 or 5 big names start the real wine producing here in Villagne. And now it's more and more the second generation come to the front. And the first generation let them do their own way. And these young people are very experienced. They travel a lot around the world. They taste a lot. They have international studies. So just like Zsófia, we will have more in this line. They not just looking domestic market, but also the international perspectives, which is absolutely important.
Thank you so much. That's really interesting. And the next winery, actually, Trzaskowska, is
just
actually...
last question about the importer, distributor in Poland. None.
Based on my list, no.
Oh.
Okay. And right, we just we forgot the chat, and there's a question about the inspiration.
That was for Erhardt's wine. That was for Human. That was the wine before.
Yeah. Okay.
But also about Yamatal.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
So an inspiration for the label?
Well, it's unfortunately I'm not in this case now I'm not a representative of the winery, not a winemaker, or not a marketing member of the board. But I think the black is always elegant. And it's more restrained. And also you can see this is the gold color, which is give them a prestige, if I can say that. And I think this, if I would analyze, I would say this is one part of the hill, okay? And also the color, it means it's riper fruitiness, is deeper flavors, or maybe a totally different things what they imagine. That's what I got it from the label.
Interesting.
I'm totally convinced on that. That's great. Yes. Good. Thank you very much. Stay with us as you are coming back pretty soon. And now this is, yes, Szauszka and Andre. Andre, hello. So there's the question, what was the first? Szauszka in Tokaj or Szauszka in Villagne? Well,
is he there?
Andre, hello. Yes. Yeah. Hi. And the microphone. Yes.
Yes, I'm absolutely here. You can hear me now?
Yes.
And you can see me as well. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Hello and welcome everyone. Yeah, my name is Ender Vincent. I'm representing Szauszka Wineries. I'm responsible for sales and marketing. Do you hear me? Is it all right? Okay. So Szauszka is a family-owned and operated venture with state-of-the-art wineries in 2 regions, actually Tokaj and Villagne, and recently completed by a traditional sparkling wine cellar in Budapest. But since I only got 5 minutes, I will be focusing on Villagne. Like I said, I'm not a winemaker, but I promise you I'll do my best. But before that, I have to say a couple of words about our owner and founder, Mr. Christian Szauszka, who was born in a very small village close to Villagne called Schomberg. But his true passion for wine began many years later with the bottle of 1966 Bordeaux, when I was like 20 something. so yes, developing your palate, it takes time, and he really did his homework. But together with his wife, he wanted to create world-class wines equal in quality and stature to both the sweet Tokaj Asu, for which Hungary is famous, and to the Bordeaux, which has initially inspired his interest. Wines that respected the terroir of their respective regions, and in keeping with his engineering background, utilized the latest technology to do so. So as you can see, this is a very modern and a new building. And since we don't have many generations behind us, not a traditional winemaking family, we are working with consultants, with very good consultants. And I have to say this is very inspiring. Even they even let me sit down at the very same table with them and tasting together. So it's not like a master comes to us and tell us what to do and we write down all the details, but we are tasting together. So it's basically teamwork. And we got a few questions from this lovely Master of Wine lady. So let me answer them. The first one was, what comes to mind about Villany from? Right. So our answer is I have to say that this is the character of Mokár. Mokár is a single vineyard in the Siklós sub-region in Villany.
We have the next slide.
This is actually yeah. So you can see it on the map. The first one is Mokár on the list. You can see a purple circle, and there's Mokár vineyard. Its soil is
and the next slide as well.
I'm sorry.
And then we show the next slide. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yes. Exactly this one. So the soil is solid limestone, marl, dolomite, humus carbonate in the upper layer with loess clay, and the importance is that it has a very high calcium content. So this calcium-rich loess produces lively, fruity, and then airy wines with a higher acid content. But you're a professional, so you know that. But this is why we prefer wines from Siklós sub-region. In the Villany region, in total, we really obsessed with Siklós. And this is also you can see the altitude is relatively high, and there's a constant wind movement on its plateau, which helps us to with the temperature difference between day and the night. So that's why there's always a better acidity in wines and the grapes from this vineyard. And in the last 15 years, Cabernet Franc became one of our most important and varieties. We have to highlight Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon as well, but Franc is the most expressive variety, and especially from Siklós. And what's in your glass? It is from you can see also from here. So this is the winery building, very close to Villany, and if you go to the west, you will find Mokár easily. I think I have to say a couple of words about how we produce this wine. The work begins in January, but I can start from the harvest now. It is a very carefully chosen date, and even within the vineyard, we pick the wines in several stages. Most of it fermented in stainless steel, but we also use vinification integrale, which basically fermenting in a closed barrel in a little bit higher temperature with berries in it. We use I have to correct that this is 50% new and 50% used French oak what we use, and we handle them individually. So we racking the wine at least twice during the aging to just get rid of the lees, and we don't blend them. We separate all the barrels, and after many tastings we will decide if it's good enough and from our point of view for making this silver line, the top quality premium Cabernet Franc selection, the single vineyard selection, which is in your glass. So after the maturation, we also age it in the bottles.
So are you going to talk about the taste of the wine, or do you want me to tell you what I thought?
Please.
I'm a keen fan of your winery, all your wineries.
Thank you.
I think your labeling is so slick, and I think you're a young team, and your wines always have such wonderful precision. But
Thank
this
you.
particular wine, I thought, had lovely plushness to it,
Mm.
and had lovely cherries and olives and violets, and I thought it could age really well. And I
Yes.
thought it had a wonderful elegance to it, which is presumably harking back to what we were talking about, into the Chiclos being a little bit leaner and a little bit more vibrant. And I thought that it had a lovely finesse to it. So and restrained oak as well. So price wise, how much is this wine?
38 euros.
38 euros. And how
we-
much do you produce of this particular line?
We only got 8,000 bottles.
Okay, would you like to tell us what you think that this beautiful wine would go best with in terms of Hungarian food?
If you ever have a chance to visit our restaurant in Villány, you must try the steaks. Yeah.
The steaks, okay.
Yeah.
But if you're a vegetarian?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for you, Dan.
I'm not a vegetarian, but I thought somebody else might be.
What?
Aubergine or beetroot.
No, we actually no. Just to be serious, we got the whole menu, a vegan menu with many options for you as well.
Okay, thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome. Thank
Lovely
you.
wine.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank
And
you very much.
now, yes, and now this is Andrea Guerra, yeah, and in chat, yes. Importer, yes, importer. Jesus, I forgot it.
Importer for Szauska.
Do you have a distributor in Poland?
Yes, we have Dwa Bratanki in Krakow.
Dwa Bratanki in Krakow. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Dwa
You're
Bratanki.
welcome.
Thank you very much. And this is not far from here. Yes.
It's actually very close.
In Krakow. Well, okay, and now this is Andrea Guerra and Gerard Tomasz and Zsolt.
Yeah. So it's that's one of the winery which is one of the oldest or long established family winery in Villány. So it's, when we talk about the Swedish families, they are one of them. Father and son. Tomasz is the father, Zsolt his son, doing together the winery. And as I mentioned, the step by step, the second generation take over the not just the winemaking but also the business. So it was founded in 1988, and they have 40 hectares altogether, which is the majority of the 40 hectares are under the bio cultivation. They are not certified, but they do everything under the bio legislations. About the production level, they have 400,000 bottles. So now we are up in the real producers, in midterm producers, in terms of both the estate size and about the production. They are a real family winery. So they have not just the winery, but they have also the guest house, or a small maison, if I can say that, which is they run together. So if we are going from right to left, the right is Zsolt and his wife. They are running the winery part. So Zsolt is a head winemaker, and about the marketing doing by his wife. At the middle, that's Zsolt's sister, and she's doing the hospitality business in the family, the small hotel. And there is a father at the middle who started a business with his wife about more than 30 years ago, and established the business. So it's a classical way of how to start and how to develop your business here in Villány. About Cabernet Franc, they have 3 hectares or a little bit more altogether. And this wine is a selection of 3 different vineyard area from the region, which is, I would say, 2 is from the Villány region and 1 is on the line of the Villagne and Chiclos region. So there is Chillagvölgy, which is Sterntal in German, and Kopár, which is a center part of the Villagne region. And there is a Várerdő, which is a little bit left or further west. It's still the part of the Villagne, but we are closing to Chiclos part. So three different parts. The Kopár and the Csillagvölgy is around the same elevation. It's 150 meters above sea level, and the Várerdő is a little bit further up, is 200 meters. About the soil is the Csillagvölgy is mostly loess and brown forest soil. It's a combination with clay and loam. The Kopár is a very rocky, stony, the combination with limestone and loess. And the third one is a Várerdő, which is the more westerly, is more brown forest floor. About aspect and orientation, almost all the Csillagvölgy and the Kopár is southwest, the aspect, except the Várerdő, which is the most westerly part, that's northwest. About the average years of the wine is 16 years old, and the yield is no more than 1 kilo per wine. And if we going to the next slide, then we can see this is also the premium category, and it's a blend of three different vineyard area, just as I mentioned. And about the vintage and the date, that was the last week of September, the last days of September and the first week of October in 2016. As we already mentioned about the vintage, it was a average good vintage with warm, enough sunshine hours and with a very elegant structure. About the winemaking, it was hand-picked, berry picking. The grapes were kept in cellar in the closed stainless steel containers for nearly 2 months. After the fermentation, the wine spent 16 months in Hungarian and French oak. It was just 20% of the new oak, and 80% is mostly second use, and the mix of 225 and 500 liter. That's one of the signature of Zsolt, the son. He's always liked to combine the two different oak, and not just a combination of the two oak, but then lay down for a pretty long time. So it's at least 1 year or sometimes more, which is spent in the bottle to rest and then released. I think this wine, it was spent in the bottle almost 2 years before the final release. About the production, they had 4,000 bottles from this particular wine, okay? And the price is 12 euros. And if something about a wine, it's because of the longer, I would say, because of the combination of the different oaks and the longer bottle aging, you can smell in the nose that it's already shows some tertiary notes, some cooked vegetables, a little bit of jamminess, but there still is some vibrant fruitiness and spiciness also. And I think just a very gentle touch of the oak. So Zsolt always pay attention very much on that the oak won't overrule of the taste of the wine.
I thought this was a lovely wine, actually. Really mellow on the nose, but it also has juicy, sort of well-balanced acidity as well. That lovely fresh core, and a slight sort of mintiness to it. And,
absolutely.
Really careful oaking, textured, rounded tannins. A fantastic example, I think, of Villagne. I didn't know the producer very well, so I'm going to definitely look out for them in the future. And the lovely sort of layers of black fruit that you get in Villagne. Very complex and very good. So the price was
12 euros. So it's a very good price.
Oh my goodness.
It's very good. It's very elegant and always compared to a little bit of the Bordelais style wine. So it's and he always says that maybe at the very beginning when it's young, the wine, it shows aggressive, not aggressive, that maybe it's too direct tannins, but needs time to mellow down. And I think this is the perfect sample for that.
So somebody said, love this one, great finish round. I think they're referring to this wine.
And
So,
what about the distributor in Poland?
Not really. It's they are mostly in the domestic market.
Right.
You've got to go to Villan.
I
Absolutely.
believe I know
That's
the
one of the
brand.
reasons why we are here.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Thank you.
So the next one is also you, Ondras, and not Andrea.
Again?
Yeah. Sorry for this mess. But
Okay, what a surprise. So it's and now it's one of the most well-known winemaker of the region, and not just the region, but also, frankly speaking, Hungary. So there is, I would say, from the very beginning, four or five family who started business in the 1990s. And the Bok József, who is in the picture, and his winery, one of the very first pioneers, and who's coming to the next, the Gary winery, and Gary Attila is definitely the in the same position. So it's this is the big winery. I mean, they have altogether more than 100 hectares, plus they sourcing grapes from more than 50 hectares. About the wine production, they have 800,000 or more so bottles yearly in all the different ranks. So they have from the classic to premium to super premium, almost in every categories. They started businesses. It's in at the very beginning. So it's the first wine what he made it. I mean, Joseph Bock. It back to 81. The first bottled wine what he released under his own label. It was 87, and they have many prizes. He was the winemaker of the year in 1997. They were the winery of the year in 2007, the best estate of the year in 2014, and they have many domestic and international prizes. They are in the center point in the Villagne. They have the Boc Hermitage hotel and restaurant. It's a gourmet ranked restaurant and one of the center point of the Villagne gastronomy, and where in this beautiful cellar with a very special acoustic and atmosphere, you can taste all the different vintages. So about the wine, okay, it's because we can speak about them for hours. This is a single vineyard where we are, called Ördögárok. The Ördögárok is right in the middle of Villány subregion, and this is one of the hottest and highest point of single vineyard in this area. This is an amphitheater, almost closed. It's a sun and heat trap. So it's that's why it's matured amazingly, the wine and the grape in this area. The soil is limestone bedrock with combination of loess. The orientation is southeast. The elevation is much higher than the average what we had before. It's around 250 and 300 meters. The wine itself is 12 years old. And the yield is around 0.8 to 1 kilogram per wine. The vintage is where is the bottle? Here's the bottle. Okay, it's 2015. It was, I would say, a very equalized year, equalized vintage, very long and warm autumn. Unfortunately, a bit rainy October, so it had to pay attention very much on the harvest date. They harvest the second half of October, and this is not coincidence. Generally, the Bock wines, the premium wines, are harvested almost at the latest. So one of the significant sign of their wines of taste is a very ripe fruitiness, what you can feel in the wine. About the winemaking, it was controlled yeast fermentation for 3 weeks in open stainless steel, where the malolactic fermentation happened in the same place, and then aged for 24 months in new barrique. This is also one of the signature of their premium wines that they keep in barrique and mostly in the new new oak that give a quite firm tannin and very expressive style of their wines.
And it's Hungarian oak.
It's Hungarian oak. They mostly work with 1 or 2 Hungarian cooperage. They also have some French oak, but they also make experience. And as I mentioned, the next generation, his son Valer, it's the co-wine maker, and they share the experience with his father. And they have Hungarian oak. They have oak, which is we call this, or the cooperage company called 5-star. It means from Hungarian, from French, from American oak, and it's put together for different aging potential of the wine.
And about the Hungarian oak, does it come from Zemplin or where from?
Well, it's they have both. If I remember well, they have Mechek and Zemplin also. I think I don't want to say silly things, but if I remember well, they experimenting for both.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and the price, distributor, and the total production, if of this.
If someone prefer a very full-bodied Mediterranean, ripe, juicy, bit jammy style, this is the perfect wine for that. What is your opinion, Rose?
I thought it was actually, I thought it had a lovely licorice sort of character to it, really lovely licorice. But I also, weirdly, I also got floral and apricots as well. And I got a certain minerality, which I was surprised about with regard to where it actually came from, because it's such a warm site. It seemed to have really quite good acidity in comparison to other wines from the Devil's Ditch that I've tasted.
Absolutely.
It's a, it's a big wine. And it's not for the faint-hearted, but it's it's a good example, I think, and from a good vintage of this particular vineyard, which is very well known, isn't it? It's one of the best known vineyards in.
Absolutely. In this area, in the Villagni area, there is, I would say, 3 in terms of Cabernet Franc. One is the Devil's Ditch, the Erdőgárok. One is a Csillagvölgy, the Sterntal, and is a Copar. So, but a Copar sometimes for Franc, but more for the other Bordelais. But the Erdőgárok is a perfect spot. So, answering for your question, Piotr, it's 3,500 bottles was made or produced from this wine, and the price is 26 euros.
26 euros, very
26
good.
euros, yeah.
6 euros. Okay. And distributor? Any?
I don't have here mentioned any.
They
But
used
I'm
to
sure.
have some.
But I'm sure they have it.
Yeah, I think so. Well, thank you, Andras. Stay with us, please. And to my surprise, next winery.
Palma.
This is Palma. Yes, Palma. Hello, Koch Winery and Palma. Hi, Palma.
Hi, okay. Can you hear me? Hello,
We
everyone.
can hear you. We
Yes.
can see you. Go on, please.
Okay, so hello, everyone. My name is Palma Koch, and I am from the Koch Winery. We were talking, I was listening as well, that you were talking about the second generations, and I am one of them as well. My family is officially also from the south, but from another region. So my family and my father started to produce wine. He especially 30 years ago, but he's the 10th generation of a winemaking family. And we started to work on Villany wine region in 2007. And why? Because we truly believe that Villany is the best red wine region of the country. And we wanted to produce high quality red wines from French varieties. So we planted 10 hectares of vineyards in Diósvízló, which we could see before on the map. It's more the west part of the region. Yes, even west from Mariagyút, but I cannot see the name. So there we planted 10 hectares of vineyards, and right now our little wine cellar is next to Garázsolt, this wine cellar in a little village next to Villany. So these 10 hectares we planted Cabernet Franc, Sauvignon, Merlot, and Syrah, but we are talking about Cabernet Franc today. So I would like to talk about the wine, if you... Yes. So I would like to talk about Cabernet Franc, and this is basically our highest quality wine brand, this 899 wine brand of our company. It has this name because it's a barrel selection that we started to produce in 2015. And we decided to choose only the best vintages, to choose the best 3 barriques. And this is how we bottle 899 bottles from this Cabernet Franc. So as I mentioned, the origin is Imre Völgy. It's a super premium quality, and of course it's hand harvested only and strictly selected. We only produce this wine from our own vineyards, where the yield is very low. I don't think this vineyard gives us more than 3 tons per hectare, so it's extremely concentrated. And we keep it in oak for more than a year. We mainly use in our company Hungarian oak, but with the Cabernet Franc, we also use American in the good vintages, because of the Cabernet Franc is enough rich and good quality. It can match very nicely with American oak as well. So in case of this wine, one of the barriques was American. Yes.
And Palma, you've got a lot of experience abroad, haven't you, in different countries? So tell us what you think that you might bring from your experience to Villany.
Oh, yes. So I started to travel in 2017. I say, of course, because I'm a winemaker, and whoever is, I think for most of us, it's Napa Valley is always the first place to go. So I went to Napa, and so mainly, of course, there I learned more about red wines, and then I started to travel more and more, and even if I was not planning to, I always ended up in red wine regions. I was in Chile, in Maipo Valley. I went to Stellenbosch for a harvest in a very high quality winery, and I was thinking about that I should also learn some things about white wine, but then in Germany I ended up making Spätburgunder, so I can really say that I'm a red wine maker, if I can say that. So for sure, we cannot predict the future, but probably I am going to spend most of my time in Villany wine region, and I will mainly produce red wine. So in Villany, I am going to be the 2nd generation after my father, but we are already working together.
So which region did you like the most?
All of them. Chile. I loved Maipo Valley. I think they make great red wine. But I was also studying in Bordeaux and Montpellier, so of course I have to mention Bordeaux as well if we talk about red wine. So I think I can always learn more and more. But right now I can say that I finished, and now we are going to work together with my father.
So 899 bottles. And how much is this wine?
Approximately 50 euros per bottle. It's a very limited
lovely wine.
Family.
And
Yes.
So it had lovely black currant and sour cherry and a sort of smoky tobacco character as well, with sort of peppery undertones and dark chocolate. There's lovely velvety tannins that you get in Vilagny. So well done, delicious wine.
Thank you. And I'm pretty sure this wine has a lot of potential in aging as well, because the vintage is 2017, and I already like to show it to people because it's already ready to drink. But if anyone asks me which wine to put away in the wine cellar for aging, it's this wine for sure. I would give 5-10 years.
And good with venison or beef steak maybe, or hard cheeses, something like that.
Yes, something. I love trying this red wine with steak for sure. And we usually do something very crazy in the winery as well. Once we had a very nice dinner, and it can even be good with dessert, with some cherry and something dark chocolate. So it can match with the cherry acidity as well very nicely.
Lovely.
But if it's salty, it's beef. Yes.
Okay, and how many bottles left from this 899?
Close to
Zero.
very close to 899 because we are just changing the vintage now. So it was 2016 that we were selling, so it's pretty much almost
Okay.
everything except what's going to go to the Villain tasting. I'm not sure, Andras, if you mentioned that before.
And do you have an importer in Poland?
Not yet, but we are.
Somebody said it's an amazing wine, so there you are.
Oh, thank you. I didn't see the.
And what's the best vintage for the Cabernet Franc in Hungary? There's a question in chat.
2017.
Well, actually, I'm not gonna lie. I would say 2017 because this is our super premium 2017, which I can still show you. But the 2017 premium, we don't have much left, and it
How could we order? Somebody wants to order your wine.
This one.
Get in contact with Palma after the.
Get in touch with Palma. Yes.
Yes, I am going to write down my email here on the chat if anyone is interested in this wine or the previous vintages.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Lovely to see you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now.
Enjoy the next wines.
Thank you. And now this is Andrea Guerre. So this is not Andras this time. This is Andrea Guerre and Guerre Attila Winery. Andrea, or perhaps it would be Andras again. If Andrea doesn't show up, Andrea, hello. Press the buttons, please, and you will join us.
Hey, excellent.
You see?
Great, yes, you made it. Yes.
Okay, now the voice is also there.
The voice is here, and you're here.
Excellent.
Go on.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. And thank you very much for the possibility. I'm very happy to introduce our winery and one of our wines for you today. First of all, a few sentences about our family and about the winery, how we started and where we are now. So this is a family winery, actually, which is involved for 7 generations in wines and viticulture. But unfortunately, like in many other families, 2 generations fall out during the communist era. So my father, as one of the first pioneers of the wine region, started to build up the Guerre family winery, starting first on a very small half-hectare plantation in 1978. So everything started in very small. And of course, until the political change, it was not possible to grow. So only after 1990 was it possible to buy land and vineyards. And then my father left his main job as a forester. And he was, from that point on, only involved in wine and viticulture. And he started to buy vineyards and land. after following the guidance of my grandfather, who could tell him which were the best slopes to grow grapes in the old times, before the state-owned cooperative time. And so my father bought lands which have to be replanted, recultivated, because they were not under plantation for 40 years. So it was a lot of work what he has done, but that gives the base for our family winery. And currently we own 75 hectares in 4 different locations, 4 different highly rated slopes called Kopár, Konkoly, Csillagvölgy, and Ördögárok. Some of them you have already heard in the previous presentations. And since 2010, we cultivate all our vineyards organically, so we do not use any pesticides in the vineyards, because we think that this is the best way to show the real values of our vine region and the real values of our soil, what we have here. And of course, the end quality of the wine decides almost 100% in the vineyard. So you cannot do many mysteries in the winery itself. So you have to do a very precise and very careful work in the vineyards. So this is where we put the emphasis very hard. Of course, we do very different types of wines. We have also entry-level fresh fruity style wines without oak aging, like a rosé and a fresh fruity white. And we do also the Portugieser, which is also has a strong connection to Villainy as an entry-level red. But of course, if people hear the Guerra name, we are well known for our serious reds, like the Kopár, which is our flagship wine. And we have a Merlot, 100% Merlot called Solus. And of course, I do not want to miss the 2 Villagny France, what we do from 2 different vineyards. And is a very important grape in our portfolio. Actually, our aim is to make elegant wines with harmony, expressions of terroir, and expression of fruit, complexity, and a lot of aging potential, and with a very decent use of oak. And we would like to run a winery which can be controlled and overviewed by the family, because we think this is also a guarantee of quality. So all members of the family are involved now in the family business, in the family winery. So my parents, my brother, my husband, and I hope my 2 small sons, who are now 3 years and 10 months, I hope they will fall in love with wine later as well. So, of course, the Guerra name has a strong connection to wine, but in our family, grape has a wider interpretation, because we make since 2010 our own grapeseed oil and grapeseed powder. And we are also involved in hospitality. So we have a 4-star family hotel in the heart of Villainy, with a fine dining restaurant, where we do some wine tastings also in our wine bar. And a few years ago, we also launched a premium cosmetic brand called Grape Love, which is based also on our own grapeseed oil, grapeseed powder, and extract. Of course, this is more connected to me than to my father. So here I was more involved in this work. And I think we can switch for the wine, what I brought for you to taste this evening. This is a special wine. We love Cabernet Franc. This is definitely the first grape variety I would mention if I had to list an order of our grape varieties, what we use. We do Cabernet Franc for a very, very long time. The first vintage was 1992 as a premium wine. So we were always thinking about Cabernet Franc as a premium grape variety. And we were always dealing with it very seriously. So we have quite a lot of experience with the grape, and we have done many times vertical tastings, also with the variety tasting, 15, 20 different vintages side by side. And of course, the conclusion, not of course, but the conclusion was that the grape, that the variety has really a very long aging potential. If we speak about top Cabernet Franc, of course, it has it is showing a beautiful complexity, refinement, and very nice elegance with the time as it ages in the bottle. But our Cabernet Franc can be opened also as a young wine because we emphasize very much the fruit, so they can be enjoyed also at a young stage very nicely. But of course, if somebody has the time and have enough patience to wait a few years more, then they will get even a more nicer experience with the time. So this wine is coming from a single vineyard, Ördögárok, like by the Bock family. So we have in the same vineyard plantation. My father was the one who started the replantation in this Ördögárok vineyard. And it is actually a very nice microclimate. It is a very closed and very steep valley, and the worm gets stuck in there. So it results in wines with very nice and very velvety tannins and ripe tannins, and a lot of complexity. And the limestone base, what we have in general everywhere in the wine region, that limestone base can give also showing nice minerality in the wine with the time. So we use, of course, we do everything hand harvest, no other chance in these steep slopes. So sometimes we had to, on some places, we had to make some terraces also in the Ördögárok valley, because otherwise it was not possible to cultivate. So hand-picked grapes, we use Hungarian oak, 300-liter barrels. We use a bigger size than 225s because we experienced that it fits more to our style. So we use now only 300-liter barrels, and we use, for this wine, we use only Hungarian oak. We can say in the whole winery, we have more Hungarian oak. This is the most common, but we use only northern oak coming from the Zemplén Mountains because we have quite elegant tannins, and that fits very nice to the Villany style. They spent 16 months in oak, and it is still young. 2017 was a warm vintage, definitely. So it has a lot of power, but it's still young. So it will go up on the hill with the time. So I think if somebody has the patience, it is worth to wait a few years more.
So you've had a good note there. Fantastic wine, perfect finish. So yeah, I thought it was a really lovely, complex, powerful, really outstanding wine. And the price?
The price is around 23 euros, 25 euros per bottle.
And how much do you produce of this wine?
It's a small production. It's depending on the vintage, of course, but around 6,000, 7,000 bottles.
And do you have an importer in Poland?
Yeah, we have a gentleman called Sławomir Hapak. Wine Team is called his company, but they have some changes maybe in the company now. I'm not...
Danubia Fine Wines.
Danubia Fine Wines, yeah.
Yes, and it's definitely not close to me, this one. It's in Lublin. It's not in Prague. So, thank you. Danubia Fine Wines, Sławomir Hapak. Good.
Thank you, Andrea. That was really interesting and fantastic. You managed to pack in lots of information in a short space of time. Perfect.
I hope I fit in the time. Thank you.
And this beauty line product's name is Grape Law. Is that
Grape Love? Grape Love.
Okay. Great love.
What else?
Wow.
Great. So go and stay in their hotel and try their spa.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Enjoy. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And now this is Monica from Villan. Hi, Monica. And Ondras, we will finish with you. Yes. Monica, hello.
Yay.
Hello to everybody.
Hello. So the floor is yours. Go on, please.
So I'm very glad to be here. My name is Monica Debreceni. I'm the co-owner and managing director of Villan. Villan was established by my husband in 1992. So this is exactly our 30th anniversary this year. He was a visionary man, and yeah, she's my daughter, who is a winemaker on the picture. So he was a visionary man who just felt in love with Villan, and started with big ambitions, and he wanted to make the best possible wine in Villagne, and it was really so it's a great adventure for us. I was also there from the beginning, and at 2004 he died in an accident, and since that I'm managing the winery, and I'm not alone because I have a great team, and also two of my daughters joined to the winery. The younger one, she's a winemaker and she's doing the export now, and the older one, she's an economist and helping me to manage the winery. Villagne is the medieval name of Villagne, and now we work on 100 hectares, and out of which 22 hectares is Cabernet Franc. And now we started at Dobogo vineyard because we work on 5 vineyards. In front of the winery, there is Dobogo with a relatively new plantation of Franc and Cake Francos. And we started bio as well because we also believe that almost the 100% of the quality of the wine is coming from the vineyard. So vineyard management is crucial, and all the rest so this part is bio, and all the rest is close to bio. So a management which respects nature very much. For us, Franc is very crucial. For us, Franc is essentially Villagne. It has a very strong personality. So if you taste a few Francs from Villagne, you will definitely know. So it has really a strong personality with its freshness, with its elegance, with its refreshing gulp, which is very important for us. In the 90s, like everywhere in Villagne, it was more tannic, more alcoholic wines. And since then, a new style is coming, and we believe in this new style with refreshing acidity and refreshing gulp, but still the concentration should be there. As far as Franc is concerned, we are producing quite a few ones. Today we are showing you the super premium one, which is the top. We also have the premium, which also called Villagni Franc, and we have a new little wine family called Villagne Variation, where we play and we experiment. For example, if you go to our website, you can buy 2 Francs, Cabernet Francs, in a box, and you can compare one matured in amphora and the other in barrel, but shorter, so not 12 months, which is compulsory with premium, but a little bit shorter time, and it's even a great experiment for us when we together with tasters, and we ask them to vote. It's up until now is 50-50 because people like both, but amphora is so different and showing the unmasked values of Villagne. So it's really fascinating for us. we will show classical. Don't mix it with classical, because you know, in the categorization, classical is a level in Villany. But I mean, this super premium Fran called Mandulás is going to be a classical and essential Villany. So if you taste it, and you tasted now quite a few, you will see that the concentration and the refreshing acidity is there. Even this wine was matured 18 months in oak, Zemplén and Mecsek. And it's from vintage 17, what you know quite well now. So it was really a remarkable warm vintage. And the date of the harvest, it was middle of October, I think 12th of October, if I remember well, 12th, 15th of October, so middle of October. And the density of the vineyard is quite high. In this case, at Mandulás, it's 7,000 feet per hectare. And from this vintage, we not only produce from Mandulás vineyard, but also from Gombás. Gombás, if we go to the map, it's further north a little bit, and Gomba means mushroom. People were picking mushroom from all the days, which shows it, and it's surrounded by a wood, and it shows it cooler, a little bit cooler climate compared to the others. So we experienced that it's very good if we blend Mandulás with Gombás. Mandulás vineyard, in our case, you see it's further down. Mandula also has a meaning. It's called almond, and our label is symbolized by almond flower. And we planted almond trees all around, or not all around, but almost all around the vineyard to show this, because in the past it was used to be an almond plantation as well. So
Thank you.
I thought it was a really elegant wine, actually, and I love the freshness that people now are getting in their wines. You know, because I think that's what people want, that freshness and the juicy fruit character, and not too much oak, but just really beautiful tannins in this wine. This was definitely, when I was tasting the lineup of the 12, this was one of my favorites. How much is it?
What you mean, alcohol level?
No, sorry, no. Price.
In euro, it's close to 20 euro. 19.
20 euros.
I just calculated it's 19.7.
Yeah, good price.
Yeah, close to 20.
And how much do you make of this wine?
9,000 bottles in total.
9,000 bottles, yeah. And how long do you think it would last in terms of its taste?
I think another 10 years easy. It's very interesting because wines are not linear. So sometimes we think now it's reached the peak already and after continues. For example, just for the sake of interest, our very first vintage was 94, and we had a Portugieser from an old plantation, which still, and Portugieser, it's meant to drink young, and because it was a special old plantation, it's still drinkable. So it's hard to judge, but for a Fran, because it's acidity and character, and also we have vineyards more than 20 years, which also counts. I think easily 20 years in total.
Interesting. And do you have an importer in Poland?
We had, but he finished, and at the moment we do not.
Okay.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks,
really interesting.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Monica. That's a great pleasure. Thank you. So, last but not least is again Ondras. Hi, Ondras. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, fine. Pleased to meet
Af-
you.
After 11 wine, it's
Yeah,
it must be
tired.
fun. Okay, just one moments back to the aging potential of the V-line wine. We have 2000, I think 2019 or 2020 in a conference. One of the topic was the how to develop the wine into the bottle, and we have a vertical tasting which was from 2009 back to 1991. We had six different vintages, and it shows remarkable development in the bottle. And literally the best two wines was one is from the oldest, from 91, and another one it was from 98. The 98 shows freshness, which was amazing after so many years. So the last one in the row, but it's of course it's not the last one. So it's the Teleki winery or the Chinese winery, which we had the previous 11, no, I would say the previous 10 winery was a family-owned wineries, mid or I would say mid-size, but some of them bigger than a Villian, which is by the land the second biggest winery almost in Villagne. The Bock with a little bit more than 100 hectares also, and the Guéret. And now is a Chani, which is the biggest estate owner of the region, because they have more than 400 hectares wine, which is under cultivation. It's just a little bit less than 400 hectares, is 380. This is a very old, traditional, long-established winery, even though it's the owner, it's owned by 2002. But the winery itself, like they call the Teleki Estate, which is also in the label of this particular wine, is established in 1881. So it's 140 years ago. And so it's a very well-known winery, which was through the centuries, went through different ownership. And the last 20 years owned by the Bonafarm Group, the Chinese Shandor, who's one of the richest men in Hungary, and established a very serious winery. So the CEO is Laszlo Romčić. He's one of the most experienced winemaker and wine expert in Hungary, and he's tried to divert the winery in, I would say, into the modern way. So they represent in each level, in the entry, a mid, and premium level as well, the production. Under this almost 400 hectares, they produce 2 million bottles. So by far they are the biggest, not just the estate side, but the production side as well in Villagne. And they are the serious producers within Hungary, as well as just not just in Villagne. So they have almost 40 hectares Cabernet Franc. And in the Copar vineyard, which is a single selected vineyard, they have they have a little bit less than 5 hectares. The Copar, as Andre Auger mentioned, that's one of the most symbolic and emblematic single vineyard of Villagne, probably because of the Guéret winery put on the mark with the Copar Bordeaux blend. This is one of the hottest area of the Villagne wine region, because it's a southern exposure between 250 and 300 meters, and it's one part is pure rocky, and the Copar, it means bold. It's almost nothing in there, it's so rusty because of the sunburned area. Just stones and wine, nothing else. Some bushes, that's all. And it's big surface areas. It's not rounded like Devil Ditch. It's open, and it's hot, but it's not a heat trap. But it's all the part almost in southern aspect. So it's a quite high elevation, 250 or 300 meters above the sea level. The vines are 10 years old, so it's a quite new plantation. The yield is 35 hectoliter per hectare. About the vintage, we already said it was a good vintage, a very equalized vintage. And the day of the harvest, it was the last day of September, which is very important and very interesting, because normally the Kopar, it's a warm area, it keep longer the wine. But because of the raising number of sunshine hours and the heat, nowadays is picking or harvesting earlier to don't let the burn out the grape itself. So about the wine making, it was controlled yeast fermentation for 14 days. So if we can see the next slide, thank you very much. Sorry, I forgot to tell that the soil here is mostly rocky limestone and loess combination. So it was 14 days controlled yeast still fermentation, and then matured for almost 40 months. 60% of 300-liter French oak, and 40% is 300 liters Hungarian oak. This is, as you can see, the label, okay, which means this is super premium category of the winery, and they were one of the first who released the super premium category from this particular vintage, the 2015. Since 2015, we have super premium, and they were one of the first winery. And I think it's very good sample that even though it's a winery is a huge, it's 1/5 of the total area they own by the Villain surface, and they have 2 million bottles, which is I would say, compared to Villain general production or average production, is huge. The winery can produce super premium classification, very high quality wines. So, and I think this is one of the strengths of Villain, that even though you can have a small, just a couple hectares winery, or even though a 400 hectares, they can produce both a very high quality premium, super premium Franc, which can show the terroir and also the identity of Villain. And of course, it does matter how big you are, but the main message that the Franc, Villain, and the producers able to produce such a high quality, which is hopefully can reach you and shows the potential of this region.
Lovely wine, very elegant tannins. I thought this wine had. It had a lovely nose as well, lovely bouquet, quite sort of that sort of sour cherry notes, but really good wine for such a large winery. Really interesting to see something from a large winery and then compare it with all the smaller artisan producers. So how much is this wine?
So they produce from this 4,900 bottles, and the price is 15 euros.
15.
Yeah,
right.
15. So I think it's a very competitive price in this quality wine, and they also produce beautiful sparkling, which is more competitive price, probably because the CEO was head winemaker and one of the chief of one of Hungary's biggest sparkling company, the Turley. So it's, but I think this is a very elegant wine, and a very good price-wise, and very good part of the top 12. And I just forget to mention, but before we finish the show, that what a coincidence. You now have the full picture of the top 12 from 2021. And tomorrow is the day when we're going to start tasting the top 12 of 2022.
Yeah,
So
so
we're going to face a 2 days tasting. Tomorrow we're going to have, I think, classic and the super premium, and day after the premium. So it's we'll have a full picture how it changed the wines and what is the difference between wineries now and last
So we
year.
look forward to seeing the list. So somebody's saying an amazing wine, great fruitiness. I would agree with that. A lovely fruit coming through.
Absolutely.
Which wine should be decanted and for how long?
Well, it's I would say probably the last one I would decant it.
Yeah.
Not that long. So it's I would say no more than 2 hours before. It's more than enough just to
Yeah.
get a little bit brief and
Yeah.
get air. It's
Just
not that
one
good.
question. Does Chani have an importer in Poland?
They no, they don't have it.
They
They
used
had-
to call someone.
Not
I
yet.
believe.
Yeah. They had some try, but they don't have yet now. I
What's the
think
best serving temperature?
the serving temperature is around 16 to 18 Celsius.
room
It's I would say more goes to the 16 than 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much indeed for representing 6 different wineries.
It was my pleasure.
I hope that everyone's enjoyed the wines, and I think that hopefully the message has come across in terms of what Cabernet Franc is all about, what Villagny Franc is all about, and also the differences that you find from the different vineyards. And I think that's something that's really unique here. And I think that's something for us all to learn more about the vineyards. And one way you can learn, obviously, is to go there and to see the vineyards and to taste the wine at the wineries. So do make your way there. It's not too far from Poland. So thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you
very much. Thank you very much for your very kind attention. And really, it's not just by the wine side, but also it's from the food side. Is a gastronomical hotspot, and you can bike around all the region. We have many amazing hotels and small guest house, and this is for a long weekend. It's a perfect vacation. So more than welcome in Villan.
Yeah. So I'm glad people have enjoyed the tasting.
Well, yeah. Thank you both. Thank you, Rose, and yes, thank you, Andras. And well, sad thing is it's over, and the good thing is they have tomorrow another competition, and well, in 3 months from now,
we will show the wines in our Front and Front conference in the end of November. So it's and from them for 1 year we're going to take all over the world these wines.
Yeah,
right.
That's great. It's a really good idea to do that, I think, because it kind of focuses people's minds and helps them to understand. And I think that's one of the things about this region, that they're really good at their marketing and they work together. And that is half the battle. And the wines are great. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Good. More Cabernet Franc in Poland. Yes. From now on. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good night. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.